My best friend threw me out of her life when she got married. Now that she's getting a divorce, she wants me to help her. I was friends with Alicia since the moment we met in high school. Even after we made our own careers, I thought we had a bond that couldn't be broken. However, the second Alicia started dating John, my entire perspective on our friendship was rewritten. It's like she didn't care about me at all anymore. John had several red flags that Alicia was ignoring, but I could see them clearly. John was a widower with 2 young kids, a son and a daughter, who'd lost their mother in an accident. His late wife's parents had been heavily involved in the kids' lives ever since, and they'd made it clear from the beginning that their loyalty was to their late daughter and her children. They told John that their connection was to the children he had with their daughter, and any future children John and Alicia had wouldn't be considered part of that family. While John's late wife's parents had a harsh point of view, it wouldn't have really mattered except that John's parents passed away when he was younger, so he uses his in-laws as if they were his own parents and spends a lot of time with them. Alicia loved the idea of a big, blended family, and she was always the type to think she could win people over. I was worried that she wasn't listening to what John's in-laws were saying and that she was setting herself up for heartbreak. When I talked to her about it to help her see the reality of what she'd be stepping into, she said that I was jealous and sabotaging her relationship and she didn't want to keep people in her life that wouldn't support her. Later that week she and John re-engaged, and I was out of the picture. It was like I no longer mattered now that she had her own family. I'd accepted that my best friend had moved on without me. 11 years gone by now. Alicia and John had 3 kids together, who are now 10, 9, and 7. Meanwhile, John's older kids, now adults, kept to themselves and maintained their close relationship with their mother's family. Alicia's children were never included in that family dynamic, exactly as John's late wife's family had said. Alicia has taken to Facebook more than a few times to complain about how they never invited her kids to family functions or treated them as part of their extended family. To them, Alicia's kids weren't their grandchildren, and John's older kids didn't view them as siblings. I assumed Alicia had come to terms with it over the years and was just using social media to vent. Then, out of nowhere, she called me last week. As soon as she started talking, she told me how hurt she was that her kids were excluded by John's former in-laws, how they were treated as outsiders while her stepkids enjoyed this warm, close-knit family. She was angry that nothing had changed, that her stepkids never softened and never treated her children as real siblings. She said her own kids were feeling left out, and she couldn't bear to see them hurt anymore because John wouldn't stand up for them. She said she couldn't take it anymore and was leaving John. I felt bad for her, but it was like she seemed to have forgotten everything I'd told her when she first met John. I reminded her gently that she'd known from the beginning that John's in-laws would not treat her kids as family. We all warned her to think carefully about what she was stepping into, that these people were protective of their grandchildren and wouldn't extend the same feelings to kids they didn't feel connected to. She stopped talking and asked me why no one told her this before she married John. I thought she was going crazy. Back then, she dismissed me, saying she knew what she was doing, that families come together over time, and she didn't want to listen. Now, all these years later, she's upset that things didn't change the way she'd imagined. She accused me of being unsupportive, of not understanding what it was like to feel so excluded. When I reminded her of our conversations from years ago, she got defensive and insisted that if I had been her friend back then, I would have told her about how I felt, even though I did. Now, she's hoping I'll be her friend and provide her and her kids with a place to live while she divorces John. On one hand, I feel for her kids because it must be awful to feel like outsiders in your own family. But on the other hand, she brought this on herself. She knew this would happen. We warned her family warned her, and she chose to ignore us all. Now she's back, wanting sympathy and support, as if she hadn't walked out of my life the moment she got married. I'm not sure if I should be the supportive friend I used to be or if I should keep my distance, considering how she left me behind years ago and how she seems like she's losing it now.